Call the meeting to order. Any items from the public? Thank you. Yes, sir.
I have extra copies of my talking. I only brought 3 of them.
That's for later. Okay. So, go ahead. Yeah, you can leave them with Penny. She'll make sure we get them. Huh? Eddie, you want one? Or, okay, yeah, just leave one with Penny and we'll take them down here. And pass one down. Just.
Hello, my name is Stephen Harv. The property abutting 719 Crawford Quarry Road is being strip mined for shale. There are 0 safety precautions or mitigation devices in place. The way the property is being strip mined is causing extremely hazardous conditions in which one could be killed or severely injured by landslides. Landslides are regularly happening. There are children being allowed to play in the area, which is being excavated by the owner of that property, while machines are still present. The conditions of the excavation have created a sheer cliff with drops of more than 50 feet. The 90-degree cliffs in excavation have exposed natural groundwater, which is causing runoff. The groundwater runoff is creating a new stream within the exposed excavation site. The Potomac River is within this area of only a couple hundred yards, and there are no sedimentary control measures in place. The strip mining, which began in September 2021, is in operation with full-size dump trucks coming in daily to purchase that shale that is strip mined from this property. This is a residential area, and the roadways are not designed to handle such commercial traffic, nor are they designed to handle the excessive weight of those fully laden dump trucks. This strip mining operation is being performed exactly up to my property line. Without any regard for the safety or the well-being of my family or our safety. This strip mining operation has caused my property to become unstable and on the verge of collapse at any moment. He will continue to excavate up the property line until the shale and property has been completely exhausted of resources. As of May 2022, DEP, Office of Berkeley County, has advised us we may need an attorney and has also issued warnings about safety protocols regarding the placement of equipment buried under or on top of dirt mounds. This picture was taken 2 days ago. You can see the equipment is still submerged and buried inside mounds of dirt and shale. I've contacted the Berkeley County Permits Department, and they stated this was too small of an area for them to bother with. I'm here now asking for your all's assistance in helping this matter. I don't know who else to turn to. If you can aid me in stopping and getting this to end, I would be extremely grateful. The property up here that I reside in, the house is over 238 years old. I believe it's a wonderful place. This is an extreme eyesore and very hazardous, and it's causing detriment to my property as well, like I stated. Are there any questions?
You're aware DEP is a state organization, not a county organization.
Sir, I'm calling it a bunch.
Well, I'm just telling you, DEP's with the state of West Virginia, not Berkeley County. Give you a heads up right there.
Normally, we don't have dialogue on open comments, but we do have a DEP gentleman here as well as our engineering department, or gentleman from our planning and engineering, that I'm sure would listen to your comments.
I've spoken to Brian Ross as well as Mike and Keith Evans.
Okay. They're the ones that would be the I don't want to call it enforcers, but they're the ones that be the overseers of this particular issue. And as I can attest that we don't have zoning in Berkeley County. We don't have the rights to go to somebody to tell them what they can and can't do as long as they have the proper permitting. So those are the items that I can tell you that will be looked at.
I'm just hoping that the minimum requirements for the disturbance, which is 5,000 square feet, which this is more in abundance of that, is researched and understood to be that. That it can be accurate.
I'm sure if it's unstabilized, that it will be looked at, yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you for your time.
thank you. Okay, any other items from the public? If not, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda, excuse me, if there are no modifications for January the 12th, 2023.
I have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries. Purchase order, anybody have questions about the purchase order?
Yeah, wait a minute, where did he get? Bring it up. It was at the back. As soon as I find it.
Okay.
As soon as I find it. Hum along with me.
Da, 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 da.
Ah, here it is. PTS of America LLC invoice transfer of fugitive from New Orleans to Berkeley County.
What page is that, sir?
Ooh,
Is that the bottom?
12.
Couldn't see it. Didn't know where it was.
Occasionally,
I don't know what PTS of America.
it's
LLC.
a independent
Private
firm,
transfer.
that brought they would have been contracted to bring up a fugitive at the request and direction of our prosecuting attorney's office.
$6,500.
Now, we typically, part of our transportation division would do some of that, but since it was so far, it would have been contracted out.
Gee, what? Oh, did they take him back, or is that another $6,000?
And that's being paid, as you can see, that's being paid out of the prosecuting attorney's budget, so she would have authorized it.
Man, hope she don't have many more.
We hope we don't have any. I'd hate to have been the one that was out in Indiana. Okay.
I have no idea.
Alrighty.
I was looking at the cost. $6,000.
Any other questions or concerns with the purchase order? We good? Okay. Internal budget revisions, there aren't any. How about that? Change in status, a new hire recommendation received from the Honorable Shelley Shoppert, Circuit Clerk for the Connor Spencer as a deputy clerk with the annual salary of $34,515, effective January the 17th. New hire recommendation received from the Honorable Sheriff Nathan Harmon for the Skylar Bingaman as a deputy with the annual salary of $52,466, effective February the 1st, 2023. Change in status received from Mike Lang, Chief Court Marshal for Jamie Smith, as he is receiving a step increase for years of service. His salary will go from $39,017 to $40,678, effective January the 15th. Change in status received from the Honorable Anthony Petrucci, County Clerk for Mildred Winden. She is going from Deputy Clerk to Clerk Assistant Secretary, Civil Services. Her salary is going from $46,000 to $51,000, effective January the 15th, 2023. A letter of retirement received from our county office for Mr. Alan Davis. Just kidding. I said we may pull that from the agenda, but I won't be that selfish again. I've already said my comments. Penny might agree with me, but a letter of resignation received from Prosecuting Attorney's Office for Kelly Coley. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Effective February the 5th. Letter of resignation received from Sheriff's Department for Brian Staley, effective January the 12th. A letter of resignation received from the Day Report Center for Michael Marciani. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Forgive me for that, Michael. For January the 3rd, letter of resignation received from the Day Report Center from Nicole Robertson, effective January the 4th. And that is all we have. And then we'll move on to approval of the minutes for December 29th, 2022. Councilperson Boyd was not present, so we'll pull them out and take a vote. Do I have a
Mr.
motion?
President, I move to accept the minutes of December 29th, 2022 County Council meeting as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed? Want to step? Abstain for due to absence. Okay, thank you. All right, council
What was that?
calendars, county council calendars. Golly, they don't have to change that or something, or else help me out here. Berkeley County's, let's see where we at here. We'll be closed on Monday for the 16th of observance of Martin Luther King Day. We're here today on the 12th, and then the 19th will be there, or here.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes.
As at the council's direction, I guess back in December, the decision was made to hold a public hearing on proposed nuisance ordinance. As you know, this council has been very, very good about being above board and transparent in everything we do, for which you're to be applauded. There was no need for a public hearing, but the intent was to gather constituent input. We didn't notice the public hearing through a Class 1 legal ad. We put it out on our social media platform. And I think the effect of the notices did exactly what you intended it to do. I know that most of you, if not all of you, have gotten comments back on the nuisance ordinance. And it may or may not be the consensus of the council as to whether you want to move forward with the public hearing or not until a later time. So I just want to bring that up to the council in case you want to discuss that.
Yeah, I've spoke with council, and it is a consensus that the proposed nuisance ordinance be pulled from our agenda indefinitely.
Okay.
There won't be any action taken unless there is a concern that we have it directed to a necessity.
So we will modify your agenda. We're scheduling well into March, but we will modify the January 26th agenda. We will remove the two public hearings, the first one at 11 a.m. and the second one at 6 p.m. And we'll put the necessary public notices out. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Board and commissions calendars. See, we're here. Fire board will meet here tonight at 6:30. Again, we're closed on the 16th for Martin Luther King Day. On the 17th, WR&R. Was scheduled for that, but it's going to be moved until Wednesday with Alan, and I will be on WR&R on Wednesday. 11:30 Parks and Rec and 6 p.m. Planning Commission. 4 p.m. on the 18th, Criminal Justice Board at 6 p.m. Solid Waste Authority. And that's
Well, the MPO meets on the 18th at the Martinsburg Regional Airport at 1:30, I think.
NPO. Okay. Nice place to meet.
Well, they found that they used to alternate between Martinsburg and Hagerstown, but Martinsburg is better equipped. with
Technology.
Zoom and all that kind of stuff. That's why they've all been in Martinsburg the last couple of months.
And that is kudos to our IT department for that. They are well sought after division of our government. So.
Yeah, it's about half attending and half Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
as are several other meetings.
Yep.
Who's on that with me? Oh, Steve.
Steve.
Yeah,
1:30,
yeah, on the second floor,
17.
Okay.
18th. Thought you said the 18th. 18th Wednesday.
Wednesday the 17th.
17.
Oh, I'm looking.
17th is Tuesday.
17th Tuesday.
I'm sorry.
Wednesday's the 18th.
Wednesday's the 18th.
Yeah.
So it is the 18th of Wednesday.
Yeah.
Of January.
All right, let's all
next
get
next
confused.
Wednesday.
Let's all go out and come back in.
Now my second day on the job, and look at this, I done had everybody a day behind. Let's see, nothing there. Canceled check request, from the county clerk's finance office. And that being said, I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda for January 12th, 2023.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries. We have the Honorable Larry Hess here with us for correction of assessment logs, apportionment of assessment applications, deconsolidation applications, and consolidation of properties. Mr. Hess. Thank you.
Yeah, do have a couple that bring to you today. First one, have 3 taxpayer errors. That means that they reported vehicles and we don't allow that. So there's taxpayer errors on those 3 for $781.21. I need to have you approve.
Okay, do I have a motion for the approval of 3 taxpayer error reporting errors?
Mr. President, I move to accept the 3 taxpayer errors in the amount of $781.21 in personal property.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Like sign opposed?
Aye.
Motion denied.
Thank you. I do have, for personal property, office error exonerations, I have a total of 9 of them this morning. And for the reasons that's listed there, they total up to $1,447.96.
Okay, we have 9 personal tax exonerations for office error. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yes, a motion to accept the exoneration as presented by the assessor in the amount of $1,447.96.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Real
you.
estate.
I have one other. There was a real estate exoneration for this particular one. The account number got misplaced and got on Mr. Brown's property, and he paid 2 tax bills, which he shouldn't have. So we corrected the one and collected it for next year. And we're going to back tax Dawn Roberts for that year, so she can pay next year. But we need to get him back his $92.18 because he paid the bill he didn't have to.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the real estate tax exonerations for office error?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Like sign opposed. Oh, is that it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see all the new people. New panel,
New year,
new year, new stuff. Thanks.
but no new problems, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All righty, board and meeting reports. Mr. Boyd.
Yes, sir. We had Roundhouse Authority meeting last night. Went over a few things that have been going on. There's some good things. There's some bad things. Guess we'll go ahead and get the bad things out of the way. Two things going on there. There's a lot of damage starting to happen from the failure of the gutter system on the roundhouse and on the upper cupola, which is causing window damage and then also erosion around the building. At this time, we don't have a solution. We have some options we're looking at, but we got an estimate to see what we were looking at. It's somewhere around $18,000, I believe, for the whole building. To do that, it's causing a trough around the whole building, which then causes the water eroding at the foundation of the roundhouse itself, and then on the upper cupola is causing rot of the wooden windows up there. So as a board, we're looking to get that corrected. And then on a better note, well, no, there's one other thing. The pipes froze in the sprinkler system room. Sprinkler system went off, called the fire department. Luckily, when we had that cold snap there, If it had not, damages could have been a whole lot worse. We're hoping they're within $1,500 to get those problems fixed. Some of the pipes came apart at the joints in the copper pipes. One in particular is the main line coming in to that for the bathrooms for the domestic side of the building. Luckily, the water did breach the air pressure and go into the dry system, but was able to be drained by the fire department before it froze and caused even more problems. But we also found out that the other pipes had froze and come apart, which getting to those before they defrosted was a major issue, because that's about a 2 or 2.5 inch copper line coming in there, and if that had gone when it defrosted, that whole room could have filled up, put out the electric, alarm system, everything. So we're hoping to have that fixed. We had the money to do that. We're working on that now. And then good things are the money that we had been awarded for the grant, and then the county and the city put up money for that as well for matching money. Has finally, we were told 2 to 3 months to get the paper signed federally. New chairman sent a couple of emails out to our senators, and they got that done in a week. So now that is back. We're waiting on one signature from Charles, and we'll be going to bid about 2 months ahead of time. So the elevator and steps could be here by midsummer, maybe. Something like that. Good summer to latest.
So has the problem with the sprinkler system been corrected as far as heat in the sprinkler room?
For some reason, the heater was not on. Yes, that is correct. That should have never been turned off. I don't know how it got turned off, who turned it off, but it was off. And it's one of those heaters that only comes on when it's needed. It's built into the wall there, but for some reason the knob was turned the wrong way. It's not labeled, so you don't know. So it was cold in there. Yeah, it should have been running and kept it above freezing, but unfortunately, somebody at some point had turned that off. I don't know why, and that caused that issue. Yeah. So there is a heater in there and it does work, but now we're working on getting those pipes fixed, and then we have to get the company to come out and evaluate and turn back on the sprinkler system. Right now, it's all disconnected. We have it off at the I'm at the fire department down there. We turned it off at the main breaker to the sub panel. It's all shut off, water shut off at the meter. So that's where we stand on that right now.
West Virginia Corp been informed of that, the insurance carrier?
We were waiting to see what the cost was going to be. Because our deductible, I think, is like $2,000 or something. If it's under that, then no point.
No point reporting. Okay. I do know that there's a time is of the essence with the fire system. Am I correct in saying
Oh,
that,
yes.
Eddie, when it comes to insurance purposes? So, okay. Anything else?
That's all I have to report from there.
Okay, Mr. Barnhart.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I had a Berkeley County Public Service Water District meeting on Monday, and like the Roundhouse, they've been dealing with water line breaks in houses and on streets and that kind of stuff, and some of them were pretty bad. And then the woods and the Glenwood Forest, they had, of course, water
Major.
problems because so many houses froze up. So they're continuing to work on that. 306 calls it was.
They were busy.
Yeah. They had an election. Chairman Rowe was reelected as chairman, and Lynn Leatherman was reelected as vice chairman. They reviewed and approved invoice number 13 for design of the Bunker Hill plant in the order of $222,980.32. And then they had a resolution, a grant award from the West Virginia Water Development Authority for upgrade of the Potomac River plant in the amount of $18,400,000. They have another loan funding from Water Treatment Reserve Funds for $10 million, grant award from us for $1.6 million, and the funding from Berkeley County Water District in the amount of $1.6 million, and all that goes towards the upgrade of the Potomac River plant. And they had an agreement to enter into a purchased land for the replacement of the Liberty tank, which is in Carneysville, right there at the county line. 1.43 acres for $71,500. And that's pretty much it
For a new tank?
for a new tank.
That's the property.
That's
with
the,
tank.
well, I meant just the location, yeah.
Yeah,
just
that's
the
just land.
Just the land.
Because they're so limited where they can put it there because of the elevations.
Is there an estimate on how much that tank's gonna cost?
They didn't go into that.
I can tell you, it's,
It's pretty substantial.
it is. Okay. Mr. Vice President.
Yes, sir. Had an LAPC meeting, and they are currently working on their emergency operation plan and their COOP plan. Their COOP plan is a continual operation for services. Should we have a major disaster, or they would have to be relocated. So they're working on those plans. And they're currently participating in a training exercise, which is a requirement from the state to participate in these training exercises. Also, I had a 911 advisory board meeting. They've just graduated 9 of our new employees out of the academy, and they will be going on the floor very, very soon if they haven't already. So they'll get those folks, now they've learned everything that they feel they need to learn in the classroom. Now they're actually go out onto the floor and to carry on their training. They will be starting their 12-hour shifts very soon. I'm not sure exactly when she's starting that.
This weekend.
Okay. So I think they're going to have 2 12-hour shifts and what she calls a power shift of a 10-hour shift. So she's got it all worked out, and I think that everybody's seems to be on board, with the changes. So hopefully that works out well for them. I did attend the sewer district meeting with Mr. Catlett, and my only input there was previously we had worked with the Independent Bible Church with a easement or a right-of-way issue. So I assisted them in that communication just to be able to try to get that resolved, and I think it is resolved now, or something that everybody can live with. So that's the important part of that. And the Development Authority was yesterday, and really the big work out of there really yesterday was we partnered with the Airport Authority to help provide some funding for I would consider a very important piece of property that borders the airport. The Development Authority will assist in the purchase of that property until the airport is able to obtain financing. So they wanted to make sure they had the ability to move forward, so we assisted with that. And that's about it.
Okay. Mr. Catlett.
Yes, sir. Monday night, I was at the Farmland Protection Board, and their executive director, Mark Schifani, is going to retire at the end of June. So that's sort of big news. The other thing is that we were discussing last week, and the figure I heard from our group was there's about 5,000 acres in farmland protection. There's actually 7,600 acres now. 75 easements. It started in 2000, and the first easement was in 2004. So they probably average, depending on the course of revenue from the property transfer tax, 3 or 4 easements a year average. And they have 4 that they evaluated and have as the top choices for this year. And the top choice is actually over 300 acres. So by the end of this year, we could be at 8,000 acres in farmland protection. But I was very impressed with the board there. And then on Tuesday night, I appreciate Eddie being there. Of course, there was the stormwater and sewer board both, and the same individuals serve on that, Mr. Kunkel and Mr. Myers, and of course Greg Rowe. And Greg wears three hats because he's the chairman of the water board. He's also chairman of the stormwater, was reelected.
Yep.
And Mr. Kunkel is the chairman of the sewer board. So, but I think we're very blessed to have the members there that are on that board. They are really top notch, and I was very impressed with the staff as well, and look forward to working with all three of these entities in the future. So. I wanted to mention too, Zach Walburn, who is the stormwater coordinator, has resigned.
All right.
Yeah, he's taken a job, I think, at the VA center. I think they said. So hopefully it's an improvement for him and good for him. But I'm sure Zach I've worked with him a few times over the years. And really a good young man. But he's going to be leaving I think soon, if he hasn't already.
So they'll be doing a search for a replacement then, or?
They will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
Alrighty. I had a sort of a gathering on Saturday at the airport with the airport, two members of the airport authority or the airport personnel, Nick and Bill Walkup, and met with the Adjutant General for the state, General Crane, General Cochran, and I know I'm going to butcher the other generals' names, so I'm not even going to try to say it, but there's three generals. It was very nice, and they were discussing on how the partnership between our civilian airport and a military airport are progressing. And with that, there's only, I think, 12 bases in the United States that have a civilian or general aviation and a military mix, and we're one of those 12. And it's a unique partnership because of the services that are provided to them as well as they provide to us. So it was good to sit and listen, and they are a very good neighbor. They're a very good partner for the Berkeley County, and I took it upon myself to say that we really appreciate them and all that they do for us, that we are here to help them. As he says, well, here's my number if there's anything we can do on the Charleston 11. So with that being said, I said, well, I'm going to ask for the air show coming up in at the end of August of next year, trying to get a military jet to come in and do some performance, and we haven't been exactly successful with the contractor that we had to help with the air show, but I think with the call from a general, I think we might be able to scrounge one up to get it in for the show. So they were they said it with a smile, so I'm kind of hoping that will take place. So. And then at that, I did have an airport authority meeting on Monday. In relation to the discussion of a purchase of a piece of property, then that was part of an executive session that came out, and that was kind of a consensus then to talk to the Development Authority Board. Talked a little bit about the 4th of July festivities, and which either to pick the weekend of the 1st or the 3rd, or one of those days in between, because the 4th is on a Tuesday this year. So we didn't want to interfere with the city and still be able to do and maintain what we were going to do on, as far as for banding like we had last year, and the naming rights from CMC and the donation that they're giving in a part of the pilot program to, correct me, Alan, it's 7 years?
Yes, sir.
And with an escalator to
Every 5% over multiplied over
7 years.
5% escalator.
That is a commitment from a new company manufacturer coming into Berkeley County to make sure that they're taking care or taking part in our quality of life. So the event was well attended last year. I think that it was probably over attended and not quite expected to the degree that it was. So we're making better preparations for this year coming. We have a lot to do when it comes to logistics of traffic in and out. We're going to confine that better and make sure everybody's on the same page for ingress egresses. Could have been handled better, but people were taking it upon themselves to make their own way out to the road instead of following the traffic. So that was just one hiccup. And then getting to the business of the board, I make sure I left my notes in my other vehicle, but we're at 42 to 43% of our budget, which is average for this time of year. The item of note that the fuel sales are probably at a record high, even though the economy is where it's at. So They're strong, but they're gonna need a little bit of assistance, I'm thinking, or, when it comes to, next year's and their plans for what's coming up. So, that'll be at a later discussion. Yes, sir.
I have a question about what you were talking about with the 4th of July thing.
Mhm.
Last year, did the city still do something separate? They participate with this, or in this year, are they separate?
As far as I know, that the city did separate last year.
They did.
And then this will be separate from the city, and unless forces are combined and they want to do something. But
Yeah, I was just wondering, because I thought the city had took theirs away because of the viewing problems and.
well, no, they still have it.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
They always have it on the day of the 4th, regardless of what day of the week it is.
Yeah.
I think that we should extend an invitation to them if they would like to participate in this event. That'd be nice.
Friday afternoon, I do have a meeting with the mayor. That's just a very casual meeting that we're going to sit and talk, and hopefully we'll be discussing quality of life items.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but they contributed last year to the celebration as well. So
They did.
Financially.
Yes.
Not only their own, but the ones that helped the airport.
And there's a few things that kind of go into a fireworks display, and I never really gave it much thought of the projection of the height of them. So you have to pay for a little bit more height to the
75 feet up per inch of shelf. So
Yep. So what we're doing is to make sure that our show will be seen from multiple locations of the county. So we're spending a little bit more money to make sure the height is there for viewing for anyone around the county, as well as in the city can participate from their house too.
Right. Well, that's what I was wondering, because I know it's starting to become an issue of places to be able to view the cities because of the growth of the trees around the park, and
Yeah.
years ago, and then people trying to park on the interstate and the hospital, and I didn't know if.
the largest shell the city shoots is 6 inches. It goes up 450 feet, and that's the maximum they can go. And of course, as long as Robin Townsend and Mrs. Townsend allow them to use that field.
Right.
That's maybe the only place, there may be one other field, Faulkner Park, possibly, where you could shoot that and do it legally in the city limits.
Roundhouse might be a location.
You got too many buildings, I think, there with the code.
Okay. All right.
Mr. President,
Yes.
on the festivities at the airport, either Independence Day celebration or the air show, your group may want to reach out to the emergency management folks, EMS, police, get them involved, because they need to do some planning as well.
Yep.
And that was part of our conversation the other day at the LAPC meeting, because all those entities were there. So
Yeah, there's the committee will be reaching out to all the parties necessary. That's for sure.
well, sooner better than later.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
And
The
4th of
money
July
from-
will be here in no time.
Excuse me, the money from CMI, is it earmarked specifically for the airport show,
It's for the 4th of July celebration at this point. Yeah.
specifically each year?
Yes. Yep. They will have the corporate naming rights to the festivities. So we're always looking for any sponsor that wants to partake, as well as for the air show in August. So we're looking forward to partnering up with that too. So. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Nope. All righty. We had Councilperson Catlett has a conflict with the library board and needs to switch. Is that?
Yes, it's the same time and day of the my ambulance authority board, and I'd rather stay on the ambulance authority.
Okay. So we have a library board that.
Not that I don't enjoy reading, I do, but I'm not a speed reader, so.
Okay.
We'll work that out. I mean,
We can work that out within the office. We don't have to make that decision right now. So.
Well, you put
Just one-
liaison there, you could put liaison on this. You could library the liaison is.
We'll.
Think about it.
Yeah. We'll. Everybody, 4 of us here, we need to think.
I'll
about it.
have to look at the schedule. I mean, it
Yeah.
may,
I
it may
could
work.
possibly do it if it doesn't fall on the same day as one of the others. Trying to find the calendar again real quick.
You wanna look at the assignments too.
Yeah. We'll get you a decision next week. Penny.
We'll put it back on the agenda as follow-up next week.
That's good.
Last Thursday at 5 is what it is of each month.
It's on Thursday.
Thursday at 5.
I don't think I have anything else on Thursday. It's on my desk, the schedules.
Alrighty, we had a new application received from Gregory Jones for the Planning Commission, CVB and/or Farmland Board. So do we want to make any decision there to?
We'll schedule him to come in if it's agreed with the council.
Okay. If that's agreeable, we'll do that. And the honorary council person, Miss Chelsea Haynes. We're going to have Mr. Vice President kind of swear you in, and we'll hear what your good things you're doing at the school.
I state your name. You swear and affirm that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
I will uphold the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia.
that I will work hard to fulfill the responsibilities
I will work hard to fulfill the responsibilities
of the office of honorary council member
of the office of honorary council member
to which I have been appointed.
to which I have been appointed.
So help me God. If you would, tell the folks a little bit about yourself and what plans you may have in the future.
You like being put on the spot, don't you?
What activities do you participate in the school?
I'm in robotics and a field day
Oh,
and student council.
great.
That's cool.
What school?
South Middle.
South Middle. So,
I'm sorry I answered that for you.
So your interest there, where do you think this will put you in the future?
I'm hoping that it can get me to some sort of architecture, or if for some reason that doesn't work, then engineering, something mainly based in math.
Don't sound like you're into this robotics. You're into it.
Yeah.
Well, wish you the very best. As I spoke with you earlier, if you have a comment or question, just please get the attention of the president. We'd be happy to have your input. All right.
Thank you. Okay, we're a little bit behind schedule, but we have Miss Amy Orndorff, the Director for Berkeley Senior Services, for budget presentation.
Mr. President, if you'll allow, since we have two new councilmen, come on up, Amy. While Amy's getting ready, you'll find the budget request as well as a small spreadsheets in your packet, but we've also given it to you in hard copies. You can take notes. Also, as part of the budget presentation for the outside agencies, I will be providing you with 12 years worth of funding to let you know what kind of funding is being provided by the council. And again, for the benefit of the two new council members, thank you, Amy. And I'm sure Amy will point it out, but they do the senior services. They are located in a building that's owned and maintained by the council. And we put about $1 million, slightly more than $1 million for improvements in that building.
But
in
the
past.
offer to sell it to them for $1
We
is
will,
still.
we will
current.
give it to, actually, I will give you the dollar if they're willing to take title to that building.
Does Jack and his crew come along with that deal? That's,
Actually, we can make you a deal for Jack. So we, as you know, we have made some pretty substantial improvements to
Absolutely.
the building, and most recently put a new floor covering in the
in
basement.
the basement, and it is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I have to thank you guys. It's so nice now when it rains, we're not panicked that the front end of the building is, perhaps we always had leakage and always had floods. So it's so nice to stay dry when it rains, and the building is absolutely gorgeous. If you haven't had a chance, please stop by and see it. The siding is beautiful. A brand new metal roof, which has been great over the winter. So it just kind of slides right off, and new awnings, new flooring. It's great not to see stains and gross floors anymore. So very much
Air
appreciated.
conditioner units on.
All air conditioning units are now 5 years or less. So Our seniors are no longer overheating in the summer, and they stay nice and warm in the winter. So very, very much appreciated. And I have to tell you guys, anytime I go to the state, I'm usually the envy of all the other senior center directors because they can't believe that we have such a giving county. And
You mean the other county commissions are as generous?
you would be surprised.
I mean,
Very, very few.
Really?
Very, very
Seniors?
few senior centers have the backing of the county. We by far have the best, the absolute best. But very, very few counties have any support from their county councilman.
I'm very proud to say that we value our seniors.
Thank you. Thank you.
as we become more senior.
As we become closer to that
We're
day.
getting more of us every day.
That's right. And with our programs, we'll be sure to keep you in your homes and active. Most
tell you what.
definitely.
If I'm like Alan, if I don't get a hip or a knee fixed here pretty soon, I don't know how much activity I can do.
Well, then you have to come over and do like our Tai Chi and our chair yogas and line dancing. We'll keep you active. We got you covered.
Yeah, good.
We got you covered. But yes, thank you guys very much for your continued support, and please stop in and see the building. It is beautiful. And join us for lunch.
Good. Okay.
So I have submitted our request. Not much has changed in our ask, but I did just, because we do have 2 new councilmen, I just kind of wanted to give an overview of the senior center. A lot of times we have the misconception that we are the place for the old people. That is by far the farthest thing from the truth imaginable. All of our activities at the center are geared to keep seniors active and independent and in their own homes, which is our mission. We have approximately just under 100 staff. 75% of them work out in the field, providing either in-home care services. We provide respite for caregivers that are caring for a loved one with an Alzheimer's or dementia diagnosis. We're very unique. We are one of 2 senior centers in the state that actually does that in the home, and we have a congregate program in the building itself. There's only one other senior center in the state that has the amount of space to be able to do that. So we are very blessed to be able to have a secured location to keep those folks that have been diagnosed with a dementia or Alzheimer's diagnosis, while their caregiver can get a much needed break. We also have transportation services. So we provide medical transportation, and we provide transportation for seniors to and from our senior center, as well as to run essential errands. As our seniors have aged, we, when you're 85, 90 years old, probably not the best idea to be on the road driving to go get your groceries. So we will take seniors to go get their groceries, to run to the bank, to get their hair done. Pretty much any errand that they need to have done, we can take them. We have a nutrition program, so we deliver meals to homebound seniors. We also have meals that we serve. We are so excited to be open post-COVID and be able to serve those meals at the senior center itself, weekdays, Monday through Friday. All of our home-delivered meals, we deliver for 7 days, so seniors are never without food. And our nutrition program is a little different in that we're covered under the Older Americans Act, so no senior is asked to pay for any of their meals or any of our services that is covered under that Older Americans Act. We simply ask for a suggested donation. We also have activities, which is pretty much what we're most known for at the center. We have Tai Chi, line dancing, card groups that come several times a week. We've had belly dancing. We're looking at doing pickleball because we have a beautiful space to be able to do that. So we're looking at maybe starting pickleball. We have cornhole tournaments. You name it, the seniors request it. We do everything in our power to make it happen. The great thing about those programs, they're all led by volunteers. So that kind of helps us keep our expenses down and providing those things for our seniors. So that's just a very brief overview of the Senior Center. A lot of people don't realize that we offer so many things that we do. We really are a one-stop shop for anyone over the age of 60. We assist with Medicaid counseling. I don't know how many of you guys have ever had to navigate the Medicaid world, but it is treacherous to say the least. So we have a counselor that volunteers his time that takes care of enrolling new seniors into the Medicare program, as well as during the open enrollment time, having seniors take a look at their Medicare and making sure that it's exactly what they need. So in our request, we are requesting $70,000. Those funds will help with the upkeep of the outside grounds of the center. You guys are amazing. I mean, Jack and his crew, we have a light bulb out. If he's walking through the building, he sees the light bulbs out, he'll go out to his truck and take care of it for us. But we do need the lawn mowed and, the weeds pulled and when it snows, the sidewalks cleared and salted. And then we have a second building, which is our annex building, which we put the bill for, anything that happens there. So we do have to keep those areas cleared, air conditioners break, things like that for that building.
Do you use the community service people for anything?
We do quite a bit. The $30,000 also covers our janitorial person. He does work part-time and, post-COVID with all of the things, making sure everything stays sanitized and we're keeping everyone safe. Our local match for our vehicle, it went up significantly. Our vehicles that we use for transportation are covered under another federal grant, and we are required to make a match for those vehicles. The cost of those vehicles more than doubled this past year. So
What percentage of that is the 20,000? What percentage is that?
it's 20%.
It's 20%.
It's 20%. Mhm. Yeah. And it varies what type of vehicle we apply for depending on our need. There have been years that we have the big buses, which seat up to 14 people. Those have gotten to be so expensive, not only to purchase for us, but then to maintain.
Are you having trouble even trying to get one?
It takes about between 18 months and 2 years for us to finally get it. So we apply every year for a new vehicle just because of the length of time it takes. And, our vehicles wear out pretty quickly with the amount of miles. So we make it a habit and a practice of applying each year. 2 years ago, we actually thought we would try something different to save a little bit, and we applied for a Ford Explorer. And it has seemed to work out well. The only problem with that is that it's not wheelchair accessible. So we use that for the in-town routes for the more independent seniors.
How many vehicles do you guys have?
We have 7 that we run for transportation, and then we have company vehicles for nurses to take for assessments. Anytime a staff member that primarily works at the senior center needs to run an errand, there to take a company vehicle on company time. Anyone that works out in the field, they use their own vehicle and then we reimburse the mileage.
How many staff do you have?
Just under 100.
Really?
Yeah, we're just under 100 staff. We're 90 couple.
Oh.
Amy, typically about how many folks do you help? I mean, I'm sure you have like people who are regular,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then, but overall, what kind of a picture are we looking at that you all?
Well, it's very fluid. We have approximately 100 seniors that we provide in-home care services for, just over 100 that we deliver meals to. Depending on the activity in the day, we could see upwards of 75 to 100 seniors come through the center with the various programs and various activities. We have probably about 80 now that receive some type of respite service that we're relieving the caregiver for. And then during the open enrollment period for Medicare, we were able to serve almost 300 seniors with one volunteer to be able to make sure that they're getting the best bang for their buck on their Medicare program. So, it really varies depending on, unfortunately, many of our in-home care seniors pass away, and it's a process. We provide Medicaid, adult and disabled waiver, and personal care through the Medicaid program. So then they have to go through a whole process of being approved for Medicaid services through DHHR. So that takes a little bit of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
The facilities rank the top 1% in West Virginia. Do you have any contact with Washington County or Frederick County, Virginia, Frederick County, Maryland, those jurisdictions?
We have. We've actually reached out to a few of them just to kind of expand the types of activities that we offer on site, kind of to see. We're pretty much in line with what they offer.
Oh, yeah.
The difference is that their starting wage is so much more than ours, and they're able to pay their staff a whole lot more. I do have to say, our staff do what they do because they're passionate and they love our seniors. Our pay is not great. I never get offended when I lose staff because they can go to Pennsylvania and make 3 times as much as we pay, or even Winchester and make double what we pay. I never get offended by that. But we do have a passion for our seniors and what we do.
Do they? I don't recall ever seeing Washington County's senior center. They have more than one, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I believe they have 3. They have the main center, and I think they have 2 satellite sites
Yeah, I
now.
thought they had several, but I
Yeah.
couldn't quite grasp.
Yeah. We're the only one in the county. We love that. That's a marketing tool for us. We're the only senior center in the county.
Presentations today, the Meals on Wheels and the hospice. Of course, they're all related. I don't know if that was planned or not, but they're all related around the senior community. And I assume that y'all work hand in hand with those agencies.
We do. We work very closely with Diane at Meals on Wheels. You know, we have a large county, and we can't do it all. Meals on Wheels can't do it all. So we are constantly, making referrals and trying to partner. Last year it was asked if we in some way could merge, and I did do some homework and some research. Because of the way that our funding is set up through the Bureau of Senior Services, the only way to be able to do that would be for Meals on Wheels to follow all of the regulations that we follow, and then they would kind of be like a subcontractor, and that just doesn't make sense for either of us. So the next best thing is for us to work in collaboration and partnerships. And, we get a lot of donations from, local businesses. So a lot of times we'll share things back and forth, even as far as supplies and different things. So, yes, we do work very closely, and with hospice, especially with in-home care. We both can't be in there at the same time, but communication is key, because if you have someone that's in their last days, we need to know, what they've done and what worked and what didn't work. So our nurses especially work very closely with hospice.
I'm the new liaison with the county.
I'm excited.
And I look forward to
Yeah.
working with you, and I think I can
Great.
speak for all. We appreciate what y'all do.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited to have you and the nonprofit background that you have. We're very excited.
Well, I can relate very well to senior citizenship too now. So.
Yeah, since you are one.
There is nothing wrong about being a senior. I will tell you, we have a lot of different things and a lot of different activities. And after a day of, our birthday bash, or we just had our holiday celebrations, I am exhausted at the end of the day. I am ready to go home. They wear me out. So very, very excited.
At some point, you become a child again.
You do, yeah, you do,
Yeah.
and it's great. It's fantastic, and we have a lot of schools. We partner a lot with Faith Christian Academy. They'll bring their second grade class. Our seniors love it. They eat it up. So, thank you guys very much,
Thank
and
you.
enjoy your
Thank you.
cheesecake.
Wow,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thanks for the dessert too, by the way.
Not a problem.
Pretty good tactic there, feed us.
If I ever get empty-handed, I would probably be questioned.
Yeah.
And it's not a bribe, you guys.
It is not. It is not.
Okay, next we have,
Can we legally eat that?
yeah. Next we have Diane Waldron with the Executive Director for Berkeley County Meals on Wheels.
Amy did such a great job with the food. I brought calendars. Does that count? These calendars are made by a West Virginian named Frank Saravolo.
Yep.
And he
Thank you.
took all the pictures himself, and you'll recognize some of the locations. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Diane Waldron. I'm the director of Berkeley County Meals on Wheels. We're a standalone private nonprofit, And like Amy said, we do work together with the Senior Center because it's an honor to represent Meals on Wheels because of what we represent so many seniors that are homebound that depend on our program. So last year in 2022, we served 51,580 meals. This is our 52nd year in the county. The biggest thing I want to say is we have had no interruption in service during COVID, which is really a major feat. However, we do know that the seniors that we deliver to, because they're homebound and because they live alone or isolated, do depend on that meal every day. And not only do they depend on the meal every day, they depend on that human contact. So our volunteers run our program. Everybody thinks I run it. No, it's our volunteers. We have over 200 volunteers. They either drive, they pack in the kitchen, they are kitchen helpers, or they help us fundraise. Because we're a nonprofit, we have to fundraise. Getting back to that, I did request in the budget $4,000 from the county. You guys have always come through for us. We appreciate partnering with you. We use that money to offset our food costs. As you know, food has just skyrocketed, and it's affecting our bottom line. So this year, I decided to try to go out and get a new grant for farm to table. I want to take the grant money. I want to go to our local farmers in the spring and summer of 2023, work with our local farmers, meet them at their farm, purchase fresh produce from them, from the grant that I'm going to get, not from you guys, from a separate grant. And that would be a win-win. We'll have great nutrients for our seniors. Fresh tomatoes when they're in season, cucumbers, you get the idea, green beans. We'll help our farmers and maybe help our budget because the food prices hopefully will be a little less going directly through to the farmers. So that's my goal in 2023, to reduce some of these costs. And I think it'll be great to kind of follow this system as far as going out to the farm, watching them actually, we're going to video them picking the produce, taking it to our kitchen, which is at King's Daughters Court, if you don't know where it is, and preparing it and then delivering it to the seniors. I brought today, come on, I brought a sidekick. Our drivers, we have 120 drivers. They drive the entire county. They don't get paid. They use their own car and their own gas. And this is Judy Reynolds, and she has been driving for over a decade. Okay? So I brought her today because I could sit up here and tell you all about Meals on Wheels in my own words, but I thought it would be nice for you to hear what our drivers see when they deliver. So, Miss Judy Reynolds, I appreciate you being here.
I've been driving for roughly 12 years. I drive the same route 3 to 5 times a month. So I'm pretty well known with my people, as I call them. Our seniors are being left out of a lot of things. They have no contact with the outside world. I may only be the only person they speak to all day long or see a human face. We just lost one on our route right after Christmas. Broke my heart. He was the sweetest thing. I consider them family. I enjoy it. It's rewarding to get out there and deliver these meals.
What route do you run?
Excuse me?
What route do you run?
I have Route 3, which is mainly all in town. I have the Winchester Avenue, Raleigh Street, all that area. And I have all the senior towers. I'm going to offer, if any of you gentlemen would like to do a ride along, we'll let you ride along with me and my girlfriend.
Now that's a scary idea.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, you'll have a lot of laughs for that day. I'm offering anybody, if you would like to ride along, contact Diane, set up a date, say you want to go with Judy, and we'll take you right along with us. And you can see how some of our seniors live. It's horrible. It's horrible. But it's rewarding. It makes my heart feel good to go out, knock on that person's door, knowing that they're going to have at least one meal to eat a day. So, come right along with us.
Yeah, I think, thank you very much.
Sounds like you have Thelma and Louise with you.
Oh, I know. They're fun. They're a lot.
Yeah.
After they deliver their meals, you're done by what, 12:30 or so?
We're done by about 11:30.
Then they go out to lunch. You make a day of it. But we have a senior that lives up in on Route 6, Jaredstown, and she lives alone, and she's 87. And I asked her for her testimonial because every January we send out a survey to the folks that we deliver to because I want to hear in their own words. Can we do better? Can we make it better for you? What are we doing right? So they sent back the thing, and she said, I love the meals, and I love the people that deliver the meals. If I had to choose between the food or the people, I would choose the people because they're the only people she sees. So that kind of speaks volumes, and we have saved lives. We've saved many lives by finding someone on the floor from the night before they've fallen. I've told you this before. It's the truth. We just lost, since December of 22 to now, we've lost 5 of our folks through different reasons, not just they've passed away.
How many's on the rolls?
Right now, we're serving 1,000 meals a week, but we're serving unduplicated 400 people. So 1,000 meals a week go out of our kitchen. We have lots of help.
You may be surprised that I'm familiar with what goes out of your kitchen.
I do know it. Yes.
I've seen to know you're president of your, I don't know what you call it.
President of our Meals on Wheels board
Yeah,
is Jim's wife, Linda. She works in our kitchen. She's there today working in our kitchen. She chops vegetables. She cooks. In fact, today at 12:30, we're meeting with a board-certified dietitian, West Virginia board-certified dietitian, and Linda and myself and our head cook, Tammy, are going to sit down with her, and we're going to come up with some new menu items.
Well, Linda's been working really hard on trying to come up with new menu items, just to give them some variation in what they eat and improve the nutrition. And
Absolutely. She has, and she's come up with some good ones, and
she's a hell of a cook. I mean,
the other thing we're doing is, and it was Linda's idea, and we're going with it, we're floating with this idea. We have a 5-week rotation on our menu. We're going to increase it to 7 weeks, which means we're going to incorporate a whole new bunch of new menu ideas. And that's why we're meeting with the dietitian today to be sure what we've come up with is good for their nutrition. So I feel like even though we've been here 52 years, it's my job to keep going strong. I know it's a needed program, like Amy said. Our hearts are in it. Our volunteers' hearts are in it. I mean, Judy, she's just one of over 200 volunteers that have that same dedication. Some have been volunteering 30 years. We have one gentleman who's 95 who's still driving, and he's been volunteering for 30 years. So it's a good program. Do you have any questions?
Are you maxed out on 400, or could you exceed that if you?
We can exceed it somewhat. And the reason I say that is some of our routes, right now we have a wait list on one of our routes. Falling Waters, we have 30 stops for our driver for each day. And it takes them almost like 3 hours. So we don't want to go beyond that because then we'll start losing drivers. Also, we want to keep the food hot. So we have them in these coolers. And so it varies. Like we'll lose some through death and through moving and going into nursing homes, but then Judy here takes all the new applications. We had 2 this morning that we got. So
they're continually coming in. A lot of people are moving in from other states and needing our services. So. Did someone else have a question?
No, I was just asking if I could get a business card, but he shared his.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I hope I've explained everything, and thank you for your time, and thank you, Miss Judy.
Thank
And
you.
she'd love to have you ride along with
Yeah,
her.
I'll even buy lunch.
Oh!
Oh, how about that?
Man.
Well, there we go.
Invitation.
That's
We
not
got-
right.
We've
Thank
got-
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For Meals on Wheels, Diane helped me through the process, and she's got to the age where she just can't cook anymore, and she just loves meals. She calls me every day, to tell me what she had for lunch,
Oh,
and how
good.
good it was.
Good,
She
so
good.
she really enjoys your programs.
Okay. We're at that time. We're going to take a break here and get some pictures with our honorary council person. And we'll be back here shortly with a board of commission interview. Now we are? Okay. We have a board and commission interview with Jamaica. I had to get prompted on pronunciation, but I'm going to let you pronounce your last name. So 'cause I'm terrible. I'll butcher it, but
It's Eo Mary.
Eo?
Eo.
Eo? Okay. You all remember that for me, would you?
But you did very well with the first name.
I was prompted, so I had to ask.
Okay.
So I can't take all the credit. I'll give part of it to Tim.
I tell most people the easy way to remember it is my dad's name is Jimmy.
Uh-huh.
They thought I was going to be a boy. I was going to be a junior. I came out as a girl. And so they made it feminine with the CA. So it's Jimmy.
Very good. Okay. The floor is yours. Or I guess ours, isn't it?
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, give us a little bit of information about yourself, and we'll go down the line and probably ask you a few questions, and we'll go from there.
So I live in Berkeley County. I work currently at the Berkeley Medical Center as a peer recovery coach. I've just started there in November, so that's new. I've taken a year off to have a baby and gone back to work. But before that, I worked in the city of Winchester at the Community Services Board as a peer recovery specialist for 3 years. I worked for the first year, I worked with community members, and then the last 2 years I worked as a forensic peer specialist. So I specifically worked with people who were involved in the criminal justice system and supporting them in moving out of the criminal justice system and into recovery. I am myself in recovery 7 years from drug and alcohol addiction and 6.5 years from severe mental illness. And so I have become quite the expert at navigating the behavioral health system and the substance use disorder system. And I lost my kids to foster care and was able to build my life back together and get my kids back and make a life for myself, buy a house with my husband, and begin a career serving people in the community. And so whenever I decided to come back to work, I saw a need here for as much support as we can get in this county, and so I'm here to serve in whatever capacity that I can.
Very commendable, and congratulations, that's for sure.
Thank you.
HD, have any? I mean, it's kind of hard to follow a statement like that, but I'm not sure what questions I would have. That's for
She
sure.
was very qualified.
Yeah. So, Mr. Barnhart?
How do you know Tim?
How do I know Tim? Oh, I don't personally know Tim.
Oh.
My clinical supervisor is Angie at the
Well,
hospital.
I know Angie.
And she knows Tim.
Angie and I have met in previous lives.
Yes.
Jamaica was recommended to the board by Flora, who's the victim advocate at the prosecuting attorney's office.
Oh.
Who's also a criminal justice court.
Oh, okay. Is there a vacancy on the criminal justice board? Does anybody know that?
Yes.
There is? Okay.
I'm kind of taken back by your success story. It's amazing, and wish you continued to be healthy. It's very, very important. I don't think that there's anybody that would be more qualified to sit on this board than somebody who's been through the struggles. And just wish you continued success, continue to improve your health, and just wish you great things.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Cat?
I did what he just said. Very impressive presentation.
This is probably one of the easiest interviews that we've ever had to go through, wouldn't you think? You did it all for us.
And she has a great support system here.
Yeah.
I do.
I don't know Cora, but I do know Angie, and if Angie says, this girl's a rock star, you're a rock star. So
I think
rock star.
she is. Okay.
Multiple stars.
Would you like to come up and ask her any questions, Angie? We're kind of.
I don't need to come up, Jen, but I mean, I will if you'd like. I know I'd be back here.
Yeah,
I'm
we
happy
didn't
to
either.
be, and I've told her what wonderful our commissioners are in this county and how hard they work. for this county, and Mr. Allen. And good to see you all. I would just ask Jamaica to share with you one thing that she left out is her education and her educational goals. And she also has this amazing way of communicating and would be a fabulous addition to the board for sure. And bringing that peer perspective, as we all know, people with lived experience, they have a different perspective and teach us how to best help others for sure going through it.
So this year, actually, at 40 years old, I graduated with my first degree as in communications and associate in communications, and I'm currently in my senior year. I have 8 classes left in my senior year for my bachelor degree, which I will finish in August in psychology, and then I plan to go straight into my master's in social work.
About the only thing I can say about a bachelor, I was one until I was 37 years old. So.
Yeah.
Different bachelor.
Different bachelor, okay. Well, I've always said I had a PhD, and I was a post-hole digger, so I can't even compete there. So.
I think that it's important when we have people in these positions that have that life experience, because recovery is not only possible, it's probable if we have the right support systems in place, for sure.
With Doug, when he used to sit here, it was always, we always like to try to give a hand up instead of a handout. And that's where our success has been
Tim
promulgated
can
on.
testify as to how many people that work for him have experience with, drug and alcohol abuse. So.
And that's part of my role at the hospital now, and Jamaica as well, is we're helping build an addictions program. And we're doing that with placing peer-driven. And it is so amazing to watch that interaction when someone comes in the hospital in the chaotic of active use. And they may not interact with the nurse or the doctor well because they don't speak the same language, right?
Right.
And we bring a peer into it, it changes the whole entire thing, their whole entire attitude, everything. I mean, it really does make all the difference.
I would think that the person that is seeking the help, when they see Jamaica, that it's doable.
Yes.
That's
We're living
really
proof.
what peer support is about, is just being a representative of what can be possible, being a hope for people who are struggling in those times, that this is possible and you can do it with support. When the community works together, I'm a living testimony to when the system works, it works.
Well, thank you for willing to give back and to serve on this board. So thank you.
Yes, indeed. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Where were we at here? Ian, I guess we're going to have an interview with you for candidate for the library board. Okay.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm well. I'm very well.
Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what some of your thoughts on the library board.
All right.
What you could improve, disapprove, or make changes.
All right. Thank you, Jim. I'm Ian Gingold. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I've been here in West Virginia since I went to WVU in 1999. I'm a resident here at the Eastern Panhandle since 2009. My wife's from the area. I've been working at City National Bank the entire time I've been here. I've kind of moved up the ladder in that, in my career there. Right now I'm a commercial lender with about 3-4 years experience in that capacity. Student of economics, the world, people, fantasy books, reading, and talking to people. And my 2 little girls, who are 7 and 4, and they attend the library here. And my wife takes them to the Spring Mills branch downtown, and they really enjoy it. And I wanted to public and disclose that the library did obtain some financing that I was the lender for. I think we had a good relationship there with Lynn Walker, who's the finance director. And frankly, they asked me to be a part of the board, and I was a little concerned, didn't want to have any conflict there, so we re-signed the loan pending the approval of my appointment to a different loan officer, so there's no conflicts in that. So I just wanted to be upfront about that.
That's the only statement I can make. It, you know, when a board member shows up and they actually have some skin in the game, it means a lot more. So, HD?
I know Ian. I think he's a great candidate for this position. Maybe overqualified, but a good candidate. And if he's happy and wants to participate, we need board members in many boards. So, yeah.
Okay. It's going to be easy. Not many questions. Jim?
Well, I know Ian too. We served on the home consortium together. I don't know who's on the home consortium now.
That'd be me.
Oh, well.
We've got a meeting Friday at Zoom, isn't it?
See you on Zoom tomorrow.
Yep, I hope so. I've got a couple things going on, but I'll try to get there.
I have one question for you. Do you have a library card?
Oh my goodness. That was the trump card on me, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't believe that I do.
Well,
Oh my
they'd be
goodness.
glad to give you one.
All right.
Probably have one.
Yeah, my family has one.
Actually, I have a library card, so I can ask the question. because-
Oh man, you slayed me on that one, Jim.
Check that box.
Yeah. But, you know, I appreciate you willing to serve on the library because they need all the help they can get. Do you have any programs or anything that you would introduce to the library as a member of the board?
Well, sure. I guess I haven't thought about what I might implement, you know, without kind of being there
Yeah.
and getting a feel for the board members. Like, I don't want to go in there and say, we're going to start a Dungeons and Dragons camp every Monday. You know, I'm not going to run in there and light up ideas. I want to get a feel for what they're doing, make sure things are under control. And, you know, I just want to give back to the community too. Like, my kids are now 4 and 7, like I was saying. So, you know, when I get home, they're like, "Hi, Dad," and then they run the other direction, you know. So I feel like now it's time for me, you know, that I can commit time once again, you know, to giving back. So,
Yeah, I mean, one thing they do need, of course, Spring Mills has a need for improving facilities out there. Hedgesville has a need because I don't think they use the second floor at all.
correct.
And of course, Inwood, you know, they're currently in Musselman School. I don't know how that works. And of course, the central office probably could stand an addition. I don't know where they put it, but you know.
Yeah, we're looking at doing, you know, a rehab of the, you know, ventilation system and HVAC. So we have to keep, you know, budget in mind, Jim, and when we expand the library services. And, you know, so yeah, part of that was me being involved in the loan, was able to kind of really dig deep and assist on that. So that'll probably be where most of my expertise goes, not to coming up with new visionary programs specifically, but,
Well,
you know, my expertise in finance.
The institution of libraries is changing. They're no longer just a repository for books and magazines and videos. There's a lot more to it. And the Smithsonian magazine that's put out by the Smithsonian Institution, it's probably been a year now, had an excellent article on a library in Tennessee, I think, maybe Memphis, something like that, about what they're doing. And it's so much broader, you know, as a library, you know, giving place for communities to gather for music and art and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And, you know, I would recommend to you to go back in the Smithsonian archives and see the article and read on it. It's quite an eye-opener.
Yeah, I'll definitely be doing research.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that it's a place for the community that's free, you know,
Yeah.
kids can go to, you know, and enjoy the clubs. I've seen the kids, you know, do young adult room. And, you know, that's where I think it's valuable. And, you know, like I said, my children really enjoy it.
Well, Mr. Barnhart has covered just about all of my talking spots.
Well, I'm sorry.
But in my opinion, and the public library, the community library at Musselman High School, according to my wife, who was a former librarian there, that community library works very well.
Oh, it does?
It does.
Yeah. It's open after school hours.
Oh, yeah?
Without accessing the rest of the schools, so it does work pretty well.
Yeah, so I would hope that that support would continue for that South Berkeley community with that library. And also, I think we all understand the importance of early reading with children, the developmental years. So I would hope that there may be some programs, if not already in place, to rejuvenate those ideas, to get young children read to and learn to read. Just, we all know it's very important. So that's all I have. Ian, thank you for applying. And I think that with your background, you would be an excellent fit for that board. You bring a lot of good business sense to the board. So.
Mr. Catlett.
Ian, we've never met, but I've heard a lot about you, good things, except one thing. I heard a rumor that you were Rick Pill's son-in-law.
That is false. I deny that.
Because if that's so, you just got disqualified. No, I'm teasing. You know. Rick's a good friend of mine. So. No, I heard that.
That is in fact true.
It's good to meet you. And in recent years, I've had my grandchildren at the library, particularly in Hedgesville, and they do have a lot of programs there for young kids that I know they do in all of them. And you can go there, and they have wonderful guest speakers, and then readings for the kids. And they're doing a really good job.
The only thing that I have, being you're from Georgia, how did you like the outcome of the game the other night? Because I was thinking TSU should have done a little bit better.
Well, didn't we win 2 years? Is that 2 years in a row now?
Yeah.
So that's the start of a dynasty.
Okay.
Hey, I like
I'm a Mountaineer fan.
I like on your application, he writes registered political party, independent with a
exclamation
point.
Mm-hmm.
If this council will recall, Gary Wine was one of your appointees to the library board early on, and as he became more familiar with the library, one of the we talked about what he found and some of the strengths and weaknesses, and they truly need someone that has some financial background. They can read financial statements that not saying that they're in a state of financial disarray, but what to do with unencumbered fund balance, how to declare that, things like that. So I think Ian would absolutely be a good fit and is very much needed there.
Okay. Well, I used to tell Ian he was the most famous man in Berkeley County, because when you drive through Berkeley County and you look up at the billboards, there's Ian staring back at you.
Well, I could always say my picture's usually holding
the
numbers right here,
left, right,
turning left and right, but that's usually out the post office. So, we don't usually make an appointment today, but I don't know if there's any need to hold it off, or do we want to go ahead and
existing vacancy, and that's actually Councilperson Boyce.
Councilperson Boyd? If you so choose, we can.
Also choose. Do I need to make a motion?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so make a motion to accept Ian's application and appoint him to the library board.
Uh-huh.
Is this for an unexpired term or a full term?
Full term.
Full term. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed. You're
I look
done.
forward to working
Thank
with
you.
I'm new to the library board as well, so I'm going to come and learn like you will, and maybe we can work together.
All right, let's get our library cards.
All right.
There you go.
Ian, we will prepare your appointment letter. Once that's ready, you'll be notified, and then you'll have to go down to the circuit clerk's office, the county clerk's office to be sworn in. But we'll let you know when it's ready.
Okay, I promise to do so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
Did the interviewee before Jamaica, was that an appointment we needed to make today or
No.
next? Okay.
They can wait.
Okay. Next item is Bob Williams, Director of Parks and Rec, upgrades, P.O. Faulkner Park. Come on up, Bob.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thanks for your time this morning. Just this morning, I just want to bring to your attention something that we've been working on for a while. We've been working with the city of Martinsburg. They have allocated some economic recovery grant funds for some pickleball courts. We've been exploring that with our board at locations around the city. We had explored a potential area behind Berkeley 2000 and North Middle School. However, when the school came back after their bond, they had a lot of restrictions on that site, and the board felt that not being accessible was not helpful to the general public. So they explored a lot of other city areas. This money has to be spent within the city, and it came upon they don't really like to put these courts up at P.O. Faulkner. Now, this money's already been allocated by the city. We don't need anything additional, but the park site is owned by the county, so we needed to just bring this to your attention. This is what we'd like to do. Is it acceptable to you? I'm actually meeting at city council tonight. They're going to approve the same thing with funds that have already been allocated. I don't want to read the note I sent out to you, but I just want to bring that to your attention. That's what we'd like to do. And if you're open to that, go ahead and prepare the bid package.
How many pickleball courts are there?
We're in this package. We're hoping to get 4 courts in.
Is that the total number of courts?
Outdoor.
Outdoor courts. Yeah,
several indoors.
We have
No
Randy
idea.
Smith uses every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the next month we're doing Tuesday, Thursday clinics for pickleball. So it's very popular. Indoors.
Clinics for pickleball?
Yeah, that's for pickleball. And we have the Martinsburg Rotary is doing their second annual pickleball tournament this March, March 11th and 12th. They had 140 some people last year. They're expecting 70 this year.
I got to start playing this.
Yeah.
You should. It's the fastest growing sport in America.
Yeah, it's growing by
adult sport.
And
Just not in my house.
we need outdoor courts in Martinsburg, but also in both ends of the county as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Hopefully with this
there's-
Kenwood Park development, in the future, there'll be pickleball courts there.
It's grown by 20% year over year. The past
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So, it's a wonderful thing.
So I just bring to you today that this is what the park board had wanted to pursue, but we want to make sure that you were all aware of it and we're okay with that site selection. Do the same to the city council tonight, so that all our partners are on the same page.
Okay. I don't see any reason why not, so we need a motion if you don't mind, somebody.
I don't know if we need a motion, do we?
Well, I think you should memorialize it so that we can put it in the minutes, so that if future councils ever question why this council allowed the Parks and Recreation Department to put pickleball courts on your property, you'll have the documentation for it. So I would recommend it just as a point of order.
Okay.
I mean, I will make the motion that we accept and allow that the
Upgrades to P.O. Faulkner
Yeah.
Park.
Okay.
because the city is
city's
funding
funding
it, correct?
They're funding it.
Yeah, and-
They're accepting that.
And thank
we're
the
just
city.
memorializing that to them.
Yeah, and thank the city for their contribution to the park.
I do have a question.
Certainly.
I'm a little unfamiliar with pickleball.
Mhm.
One of my lifelong friends plays a lot, but I've not really looked into it.
Mhm.
What are the courts like? Like, are they big? They small? How much maintenance do they require?
4 courts will take about a 60 by 120 foot area. Basically, comparing sizes, a tennis court equals about 2 pickleball courts.
Okay.
So that's, in fact, a lot of tennis courts are marked for both.
So do they cut the one end in half, or do they run it from side to side?
You can almost do it either way, but there's
It's
net
almost a
sizes.
square on each side
Yeah,
of the
the
tennis
net
court.
sizes are different, and if you think about it, we're doing 60 by 120, so each court's by that 120 or forward, about 30 foot by 60 foot with the skirts around the sides per se.
Okay.
And
If the council remember, there are tennis courts at P.O. Faulkner also.
Yes.
correct, at the school uses the way.
Right.
Are these going inside there, or where?
On the other side of the parking lot from the tennis.
And they were just refinished.
Yes.
So they had some grading that had to be done so
Correct.
that they didn't tilt any
Yeah,
longer.
it's a little hilly there. We will have some land
Yeah.
development, but
Is there a lot of maintenance and upkeep on these?
no more than tennis courts.
And Parks and Rec has done an excellent job of maintaining the areas up there, so I certainly would endorse their request.
And as far as the tennis courts, we're getting ready to reinforce the far side of the tennis courts. There's some erosion on the back side, so we're getting ready to, I just signed a quote yesterday to reinforce that with some stone so that we don't have any sloughing or cracking.
A few years ago, there was lines painted on the 2 tennis courts at War Memorial Park to play pickleball also, but the net on the tennis court's a lot higher, so it's not
Yeah.
the same game.
Yeah.
But it got used heavily because that was the only thing available, so
Yeah.
this will be strictly geared towards pickleball only, and it'll work. It'll be packed every time you go by there. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable, but it will be.
We get a lot of questions about when it's built, so.
We do have a motion. We need a second.
I'll give you a second.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like, sign, opposed. Motion carries. Carry
Thank you,
on.
everyone. I appreciate your time, your support of this project. And I'll be back soon because we have some other projects that the county supported and we're getting ready to roll with those. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. And next we have Miss Maria Lawrenson, Development Director, Hospice of the Panhandle. And she's bringing goodies too.
I am.
This is
I learned
bribery
on
day.
Year one, I was never to be outdone by Amy or Board, so I will leave these with Penny and you can pass them down. They were made this morning, so. And I always like to have the time right before lunch because everybody then wants to just sort of nibble on a little cookie, homemade this morning.
Well,
One hour ago.
I'll show you. Amy was here earlier.
How can I compete? How can I
She said she
compete?
freshly made the cheesecake. Homemade.
Did she make the cheesecake?
No.
Okay. All right. Then there you go. And I didn't make those.
Now, these are oatmeal and chocolate chip.
Yeah.
Your-
There you go.
Your heads
There
and
you go.
shoulders.
And some of you know, Jordan Thompson has been our chef at Hospice for 9 years. And in his previous role, he was the chef at Crest Creek, the country club in Shepherdstown. So only the best. He has a really good sense of food. And he considers it really his mission to align with our mission and to provide the most incredible meals for our patients and families when they're staying at the inpatient facility. So thank you all, gentlemen and Penny, for having me here today. I always appreciate the opportunity to come in, talk to you a little bit about Hospice of the Panhandle, some of the things that we've done in the past year, some of what we intend to do in the future. So I think everyone is aware that Hospice of the Panhandle has been in the community since 1980. So we are a 43-year-old not-for-profit agency who have been taking care of patients and families who have life-limiting illnesses really the last months, days, weeks, sometimes years of their lives. So we go out primarily and work with patients who are in those end stages of the disease process in their homes primarily, but really in any place that they call home. Many people don't realize that we do offer hospice care in area assisted livings and nursing homes, really as a supplement to the care that that patients are receiving there. But primarily, the bulk of the folks that we see are in the home. Today, our census is the highest that it's been probably in the past. Well, there was one day last year when we exceeded the patient census that we had, and that was at 224 last July. But today we were at 227 patients. And if you multiply that by how many family members are affected, how many people that we see on a regular basis, I would argue that it's probably 1,500 to 2,000 on any given day. Just a few little statistics for you. In 2022, altogether over the scope of that whole year, we've taken care of 1,247 patients. 571 of them were from Berkeley County. So the we do serve 4 counties. So our service area is Berkeley County, Jefferson County, Morgan County, and Hampshire County. And we are located, those of you who have not been to our campus, we straddle the Berkeley-Jefferson County line out there in Kearneysville. And some of you are old hat at this. You know why we chose to locate there. It's because of the Medicare, Medicaid reimbursement stream, which if you know how that all works, and I've been there 14 years, and sometimes I still don't know how that all works, but by the sole factor that our inpatient facility is located in Jefferson County, but our offices are primarily in Berkeley County, we get reimbursed to the tune of about 12% per patient per day, higher because the inpatient facility sits on the Jefferson County side of the line. And that's really, I'm sure Mr. Davis could attest to this, Jefferson County is part of the Washington Metropolitan Statistical Area. Berkeley County was, how long ago was it?
Just put back
9. Oh, we're back in now. Okay, so we could move. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, when we went out for our most recent bond issue
okay.
in November,
Okay.
it actually worked at our disadvantage for purposes of bonds because they looked at median income and things like that. So had we not been placed back in that area, our bond rate probably would have been a little bit higher. But when the income per capita for Berkeley County was compared to the metropolitan area, we certainly lagged behind. But we were just last year placed back.
Interesting. I hadn't realized that, so I'm going to have to change my tune. But when we went to build 9 years ago, well, a little bit before that because it took a little bit of time. But when we went to build, only Jefferson County was part of the metro area there. So that's why we selected the location of our campus. We sit on 17 acres of very beautiful pastoral land, although we are getting some neighbors in front of us. If you've been out recently, we do have some townhomes that are coming in as well. And we recognize that. We knew that we couldn't be in nirvana forever, so we still think we have a beautiful setting. But at any rate, 1,247 patients, 571 from Berkeley. And at our inpatient facility, where I think most of you know the patient length of stay is a lot longer. Those folks are usually in the inpatient facility for just a couple short days. We served 385 people in 2022. So the mission is incredibly important. Those of you who've had the experience, are having the experience, I think, recognize what it is that we do. We are the only nonprofit hospice that serves 3 of these counties. We actually share Hampshire County with Grant Memorial Hospice, but I think in 2022, they served maybe 4 or 5 patients. So not too terribly many at all. But we're proud of what we do. We're proud of the mission of taking care of people in a very vulnerable time in their lives. Our primary source of revenue, as I articulated in the proposal, is really from Medicare and Medicaid. The vast majority of our patients are elderly, 65 and above. Actually, 65 is not elderly. Let me rephrase that. Are of Medicare and Medicaid available age, shall we say. Actually, the vast majority of our patients are 80 and above. So, that's the way life takes you. All of us are going to need hospice at some point. So that's why we continue to ask for your support and advocacy on our behalf. So with that, I would end with, I'm going to tell you a little story. I always try to bring a story with me. We have a couple right now, a husband and wife, who are at our inpatient facility. They were in the hospital. They were at Berkeley Medical Center, and we were trying to think of how we could get them both there together. And actually, their disease processes progressed incredibly along the same trajectory. They have been married for 72 years. And just an incredible story. When they came in, they were sort of bickering a little bit each other, because after that period of time, what the heck? It's what happens. The wife was not very comfortable when she came in, so we tried to get her symptoms managed. We had her in one room and him in another room, and you can imagine their daughter was trying to move from room to room while her parents were so incredibly ill. And she was like, where should I be? Where should I be right now? So yesterday, after we got the grandma, comfortable, we moved them into the same room with each other. So the daughter can be in there with both of them. And yeah, so it'll be a pretty incredible experience for her and for them. So.
Well, at least she can still keep him straight then.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, that was kind of the thing. Maybe that's why she was uncomfortable, because they were apart for that period of time. But we have just incredible stories like that, gentlemen, just all the time. We had a gentleman right before Christmas, 42 years old, who was diagnosed relatively recently with colon cancer and was an Amazon driver and had no insurance. And he had young children, and all he wanted to do was to be able to spend time with his children at Christmas time. And we were like, we can get you in here. We can make you comfortable. And he had that last Christmas with his children. So tons of stories like that, just remarkable work. People think it's very sad, but it's not, because I get to see and hear stories of people who've been married for 72 years and places where we get to make an incredible difference. So
just one story about being 72 years of marriage. There was a couple that I know very well, and congratulating them on their 72 years of marriage. Not my in-laws. Now they're 77 this year, 76 this year. But anyway, this other couple, the question was proposed. It says, in 72 years, did you ever think about divorce? He says, oh, no, my heavens, no. Murder, yes. Divorce, no.
That's too funny.
And that is. I mean, and to hear him say it, it's just the wonderful relationship that they had together.
Yeah. We have another couple where I think the husband is a patient, the wife is not yet. And our volunteers are coming in because they're well over 70 years of marriage as well. And our volunteers, as well as Jordan, what they wanted for their 70, whatever it was, third or fourth anniversary, is they wanted sauerkraut and mashed potatoes. Jordan's like, okay, I'll get that to him. And then the volunteers are going to take that out to the home and then making cupcakes or something like that. You know what? After you're married that long, you get to eat whatever you want. You get to do whatever you want.
Yep.
Short of murder. Not that. So,
but it was just the way he did it. He said it was such a big smile. It was funny. So.
Absolutely. So I'll entertain if you have any questions or comments or.
HD?
I think what you guys do is a wonderful, wonderful thing, and very necessary for the community.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Barnhart.
I agree with HD. My mother was under hospice.
I remember.
Quite a number of years ago, way out in Jefferson County in Shenandoah.
Oh my gosh, Shenandoah.
Yeah.
And we got there, right? Was she in during the winter time too?
Yeah, it was actually
little farm past Shannon.
Okay, okay.
It wasn't in
Have
Shannon.
any of you been to Shenandoah? Have you driven out that way?
I got another name for it, but
Okay,
I'll return
I
it.
hear you. Okay.
And you took good care of her, and she passed, and everybody was satisfied, and you do wonderful stuff, and more power to you.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
I know a lot of your staff, and I know the quality of people that you have there to take care of our loved ones. And I go back to an old saying that you all used to use. I don't know if you still use it or not, but it's about
living.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for what you do. Your staff, thank you. Thank them for what they do. It's critically important to our families that they have the ability to go to a place of that high level.
Thank you. Thank you. And I've told this story on Eddie a couple of times. When we were located at our old offices, now I was never at the Berkeley County Health Department, but I was in a house across the street, and it was a residential resident that we converted into some offices, and the air conditioning wasn't quite right. So I would call Eddie like in April or May to come and put the air conditioning unit in, and then about October he would come and take the air conditioning out, and I was comfortable for the first 7 years of my tenure because of Mr. Gokenauer being willing to come and go. So thank you for that.
Steve, back in 1980, I was hospitalized for about 3 days, and Margaret Cogswell was my nurse for 3 days. And ever since then, she's been one of my favorite people in the world. She was just a great person.
She's a great person, a great nurse who is retiring in the first quarter of, so we have lots of big changes at.
I asked her, she was still there.
Yes, she is. So we are engaged in a national search. There's a group called The First Company, FURST, out of the DC metro area who does almost exclusive searches for healthcare and hospices, because Margaret is part of a group of CEOs that really grew up with the organization. She has been at Hospice of the Panhandle since 1985. She started her career, like you said, at Berkeley Medical Center, and is now looking to retire. So we're excited. The board is getting ready. I think the end of January we'll do the first round of interviews of folks. We have some in the community who have expressed interest, and then folks that the first group has found elsewhere. So
I was going to say, in 2010, my father-in-law passed in our home, and hospice was there. And then in 2015, my mother passed at the facility, your new facility out in Jefferson. And in both cases, it was nothing but first class and just wonderful. And I have nothing but praise for hospice. It's a fantastic organization.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And again, we would not be able to do, I always tell people when I'm going generally to community members to make a pitch, this is not a pitch, this is our story, but think about when you go to the doctors or to some provider or to get PT or whatever, what you pay, what insurance pays is not what the charge is. So even though we never send our patients a bill, that generally, because most of them are Medicare, Medicaid, but like this 41-year-old gentleman, excuse me, that had no insurance, his family never got a bill either. But that's why we come to the community and ask for support, because we would not be able to do it on what insurance pays us alone. And this is an incredible community. So Steve made reference to our inpatient facility. I was hired 15 years ago to come and raise money. And, we had a goal of $3 million, and your sister sat on our committee, did a wonderful job for us, and we ended up raising $4 million. So, again, what kind of support we receive is just amazing.
Yep, I can say that I've been blessed to be on several boards that have given to hospice, and I've seen it on both sides, the giving side and the receiving side. And there's nothing any better than to be on the receiving side.
Well, thank you. All right. We'll eat some cookies, and I've taken up enough of your time, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Davis, request for solicit proposal for bank qualified capital finance.
I just need some direction from the council. And I'm gonna reference this sheet, which I think I handed out to all of you. You can reference that. If, just a little bit of background for the two newest council members. Back in, I guess it was last budget year, during hearings, February, March, the council had quite a bit of discussion about ongoing projects that you wanted to do. We talked about, as you know, we received ARPA money, American Rescue Plan Act monies that we had to designate funds for. We had to earmark that money by the end of 2024. So as part of that ongoing discussion, this council identified a number of projects, or the previous council identified a number of projects which we've committed to. And that's really what's included on the summary sheet that I provided to you this morning. On May 19th, when we were having discussions regarding projects by funding source, I asked Gary to come in and just brief the council on $10 million worth of capital projects, $3 million for LED lighting upgrades that are needed at the Judicial Center, the Sheriff's Department, and some of our other buildings. The lighting that we have now, we actually replaced all the lighting in here with LED lightings earlier this year. The lighting we have in most of our buildings is really not adequate. It's not energy efficient. With the new LED lighting that the council approved in May, we can actually go in and control the lighting levels based on the time of the day. So, for example, if we were in a room that had a lot of south facing windows, as the sunshine comes around, the lights would be brighter in the morning, and then as the sun comes around, they will automatically decrease. We'll use less energy, and the occupants of the room won't even notice the difference.
Do you know how much energy we'd be saving?
We anticipate that the return on investment will be about 5 years.
Really?
So, although we're paying,
Did they tell you half? You cut your utilities half to 60%, 50 to 60% when you go from the LEDs.
I can speak voice of experience when I had the high bay lights, the
Metal halide.
metal halides. When we switched to LEDs, I went from and I didn't burn them that much. Maybe because it took a while for them to come on once they heat up and they get brighter. I can tell you right now, metal halide light burning 1 hour, I can probably get almost a month's worth of LED light for the same energy cost. So that'll tell you.
There's some upfront costs, but we'll reap the returns on the investment. So Gary came in on the May 19th, and I asked him just to update the council, and before I knew it, he walked out with $10 million worth of capital projects approved. At that time, we designated $7 million for the HVAC upgrades, primarily at the Judicial Center, but also at the Sheriff's Department. We can't get, after this current year, we won't be able to get a maintenance contract on the Judicial Center HVAC system. So it's certainly time to upgrade that into a more efficient system.
That system's aging out.
Right.
Efficiency is aging out.
And the council's done a really good job. If you remember, we've replaced the boiler in this building. We replaced the 2 boilers that were actually located in the Crawford building that service the Judicial Center. And then we put the Arctic chill plant out back. So this is all part of that continuation of upgrading our systems. The $7 million of HVAC upgrades actually qualifies for ARPA funds. So the council has decided to designate $7 million. We've committed that money to ARPA. The $3 million in LED lighting upgrades are not ARPA qualified. However, the day that Gary was in here, and the reason that the council decided to act as promptly as you did, we were notified that at the end of the week, the cost of the materials for the LED lighting was going to increase by 25%. So the council decided at that time to lock the price in, which certainly makes sense. Since then, we've taken delivery of about $1.6 million of materials. And if you go down to 750 Baltimore Street, it's piled up down there. Within probably sometime during this fiscal year, it will be installed by Bolin. We've paid for the $1.6 million has been paid for out of the general fund. We've never budgeted that. That is absolutely an unbudgeted expense. And the intent was always to repay ourselves. In December of last year, and I know Council Vice President Gokenair participated in the closing, we closed on approximately $10 million in bond finance funding to be used for the Day Report Center at 520 South Raleigh Street. When we issued the bond, the bond document indicated that it would be used first for the addition to 520 South Raleigh Street, and any residual that would be used for the LED lighting project. Unfortunately, the LED lighting project is ongoing, is underway, and we haven't gotten a final design done on 520 South Raleigh Street. So I need to know what you want to do with the funding of the LED lighting. We can pay for the full $3 million of LED lighting out of the general fund. But at the end of the fiscal year, your unencumbered fund balance would only be somewhere between $1 and $2 million. That's a razor thin margin that I would not feel comfortable recommending to the council. You could do that with the understanding that if need be, you could dip into the rainy day fund, which is currently about 7.3 million. Again, we've worked so hard to get that build up. I'm a little hesitant to do that, but it's not my decision to make.
Well, did we not have didn't we have a balance from the previous bond?
The balance from the 2020 A bond is $240,000. We started to draw that down. We got the first billing from Crabtree Rohrball for and that was specific to 520 South Raleigh Street. So we actually got the first bill from Crabtree and Rohrball. So we've already drawn down about half of that in payment of engineering and architectural bills. What I would recommend to the council, that the $2 million that you're going to need for this building probably won't be needed until 2024. So that's not an immediate need. But I'd be remiss if I didn't make you aware that somewhere in the future, sometime in the future, that $2 million in additional funding will come due. If your revenues stay as strong as I think they will be next fiscal year, and if you're pretty conservative in your budget, there's a very good likelihood that you'll be able to allocate most of that into a special revenue fund, or even maybe move it over into rainy day. The most immediate need is the LED lighting. So it's one of these things that, pay me now or pay me later. We can go to commercial loan market and see what's available. We could solicit RFPs for $3 million. We could solicit RFPs for a line of credit up to $5 million. We could pay for the $3 million in LED lighting out of the rainy day fund. We could pay for the $3 million of LED lighting out of the general fund with the understanding that this council knows that your unencumbered fund balance in July will be a lot thinner than I feel comfortable with.
So what if we split it out a little bit? What if we took $1 million from the Dunn building, or maybe even 1.5 million, and then perhaps take the balance out of the rainy day fund? Or if we take maybe we take 750,000 out of rainy day. Just is there any areas that we can split it out so it's not such a big impact on any of the
the
funds?
money that's out, the $8.9 million that's allocated of ARPA money for the Dunn building
Can't be used
for LED because LED lighting does not qualify.
And you would think that would be.
It does not.
The credit line, Alan, does the interest change depending on what kind of?
It's normally tied to the prime.
Of course, it's high right now. But in that, the credit line can be established and then only used if you need it.
For example, the council decided 5 years ago to completely upgrade our fleet. So we went out for bids to all the local banks and said, we're going to need $5 million over the next 5 years to upgrade our fleet. It's not all going to be needed right away. We may need a portion this year, a portion next year, a portion the following year. And it's tied to prime. So the first round of new cars that we purchased was 5 years ago. So in this current fiscal year, that first note is paid off. So, as we pay down the principal, of course, our line of credit goes up. When we purchased 33 new police interceptors last fiscal year, we didn't have to go back out on the street because that line of credit was available. So, we could go out and ask for $5 million.
But currently, there's no line of credit in place.
There is not for this. Right. We could ask for a line of credit of $5 million. A lot of the local banks, when we went out for the $10 million for 520 South Raleigh Street, did not bid on it because apparently there's federal regulations in place that, based on the amount of deposits you have on hand, you can only go up so high. I think $5 million is more doable. So you get a lot of local interest. That's what, and United Bank actually is the one that's been financing our automobiles. We actually have 3 different notes with them. It's what you feel comfortable with. The second block shows what our 2020 A bond was, the bond that we issued when we took 520 South Raleigh Street and converted the old CVS building into the Day Report Center. The 2020 B and the 2020 C bonds were refinancing of the outstanding bonds that were issued for the purchase of the Judicial Center, this building, and the Kimco property. You can see that because of refinancing and shortening of the terms, in fiscal year 29-30, the 2020B and the 2020C bonds will be paid off. The only thing that will be outstanding will be the 2020A bond. The 2022A bond that we just issued in December, I've shown you what the principal and interest payments will be through fiscal year 2032. The additional $365,000 for the current fiscal years is in the budget. We're okay with that. Next year, and I've already done your budgets, the county council budgets, I've actually built in the $4 million that will be needed for current bond payment, but I also put another $500,000 in there for any additional payments that you may decide that you want to do. So the money for this has at least been put in the budget next year.
If it's a credit line and we would borrow, you can pay it off at any time.
We can.
Right. The bonds, my question is, can you do prepayments on?
Well, it depends. The 2022, I'm glad you mentioned that. The 2022A bond, which is the one we just went, most of the bonds that we had issued in the past had anywhere from, I think one had a 10-year call, one had a 12-year call, and I think one of the old ones even had a 15-year call. In 2020, we actually refinanced one of the 15-year bonds earlier than we were allowed to, so we had to take a penalty for that. But the amount of savings that we incurred, that was the bond that we issued at 1.66%. The amount of savings that were incurred at the issuance of that bond more than offset the penalties. The 2020A bond that we just, I'm sorry, the 2022A bond that we just issued, when we issued that, we put a 5-year call in there. So in 5 years, if the council so chooses, you can refinance that in 2027 if interest rates are more favorable. The problem with, it's really not a problem. With a bond issue, if you borrow $5 million worth of money through bond issues, you have to take that money, regardless of whether you need it immediately now or not. If you go to a commercial bank and you establish a line of credit, say we have a $5 million line of credit, we only draw down $3 million, so next year you're only paying principal and interest on $3 million, not $5 million. It depends.
I mean, that's what I think is the best. And then it's there, but if we don't need it, we don't have to use it. If we can figure out a way in the meantime to fund it somewhere else, then we never have to use it. So.
And March is our big revenue periods, or most of our revenue comes from property tax payments. So we get the first half of our property tax in August, September timeframe when the banks are paying escrow. Our second biggest influx of revenue will be in March, when the banks pay their second, the second escrow. Our payments may be so strong in March that this council decides we don't have to draw down. I just don't want to be in the position.
We want to be ready. Yeah, we want it to be ready and available.
I come to the council and say, I thought we could absorb this $3 million, but.
I have one more question, and I'll shut up. So if we do the credit line, how long is it good for before we would have to borrow from it? I mean, is it in place for a year? Is it in place for?
The credit limit that we've had in place with United Bank's been good for 5.
Okay.
But it's based, and every time you draw down.
So it would still be good in 2024 if we got to that $2 million in, we could use it for that source as well. Yeah.
That as you draw down each time, and you have to do a separate note each time you do a drawdown. So it's almost, you almost have to go to closing for each drawdown.
Mm-hmm.
Each drawdown is a little bit different because typically the interest rate is a percentage of prime. So as the prime rate changes for each drawdown, the interest rate could change.
And on that, if the interest rate does start dropping at some point, then it'll drop with it.
It actually benefits us.
HD, any question?
No.
Jim?
Nope.
I think the going out on RFP or
We'll do an RFP if the council is so inclined for a $5 million line of credit. And we'll specify that most likely in the next 6 months, we'll be drawing down, we could be drawing down up to $3 million for the LED lighting project.
Okay. I would request that we have a motion for that, for capital financing to go out to a proposal for the lending institutions around to have a line of credit for $5 million. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir. And once we get the proposals in, if the council decides it's not palatable, you're not under any obligation to adopt any of them.
I would make a motion to that effect.
Okay. Have a motion. To have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed? Motion carries, sir.
Thank you. That was the hard one.
Okay, now we got a request from the West Virginia Secretary of State's office to
Yes.
have space in the Dunn building.
Yes, sir. This is an easy one. Back in October, Secretary of State Mac Warner and his Chief of Staff Chuck Flannery and I were meeting to talk about some issues that we were having at that time in voters registration. And as they sat in the small conference room and we talked a little bit more, we actually got talking about this complex and, you know, and how nice it was. And, you know, as Secretary Warner traveled around the state, of course, you know, he was very complimentary to the facilities that we have. The Secretary of State established a local office here in September of 2017. And since that time, they've been located in Caperton Station. The current staffing, I think there's 3 females that are assigned to his local office. And they have expressed some concerns, some safety concerns about being down there at night.
Oh, it's right, opens right on the street.
People coming up and just rattling on the door. The building itself is supposed to be secure, but of course people access it at night. So at that time, he asked me if I thought the council would have any interest, if we had any available office space, and if we would have any interest in housing the Secretary of State's regional office in one of our buildings.
How much room does he need?
Not much. If I don't know if any of you attended the ribbon cutting, the open house that we had down in there in 2017, it's probably not much bigger than if you ran a wall straight across where the TV sets are. It's not much bigger than that. He originally had indicated maybe in the Judicial Center only because of the court martials that are in place, and I explained to him that this building in particular, we always had a court martial that kept us safe. So we began discussing the feasibility of actually being in this office. I explained to him that at that time that we were going through the process of some redesign, and that there may be, if the council so chose to go through with the renovations, that there may be some available space. It's not going to be a high traffic office. As you know, the redesign of this building was and we should, Anthony, we should have the contract in place probably in the next week or so, shouldn't we, with Berkeley and Hellman? The contract is done. Anthony and Jeff have reviewed it. We've now sent it to Berkeley Hellman for their review and signature. But if you'll remember, we're going to take all of our high traffic departments and move them to the first floor. So where the day reports or where the recovery resources office used to be, that will be the fire board. The ambulance authority will go where the fire board is now. We're actually going to bump that out a little bit and put some windows in there so it's not quite so dark. The IT department will move, as well as finance. The tax office will drop straight down to where finance is now. The assessor's office will drop down to where where IT is now. The two sides where community service will stay where they're at in that smaller area, but the rest of that will be turned into office areas for the fiduciary and voters registration. And then the whole side of the building along West Stevens Street will be the county clerk's office. The upstairs will have our office of strategic planning and communications. Matt will move out into a separate office area. Behind that will be the finance department. The large area over where the assessor is, the first part of it will be our grants department. We're actually going to have a separate area for the grants folks, and then behind that will be a large multi-purpose room, a large meeting room. Right now, as you know, when we have a dignitary that comes in that wants to have a town hall meeting or a public meeting, there's no place to put he or she other than the sheriff's department training room. That room has been designed, I think it will hold up to 200 people, and we'll have a sink and an area where you can put some coffee pots and things like that. The council area, planning, engineering, and your chambers will not change. The ambulance authorities area is currently not assigned to anyone. So my thoughts were, and I'm not sure the Secretary of State's office would need that much area, because if you remember, that used to be the fire board and the ambulance authority, and we had to separate them because of staffing. We could probably design that so that the Secretary of State's office would go in there. I don't know if you know it or not, but earlier this week, Mac Warner announced his candidacy for governor. Who knows, maybe he would want to put, if he becomes governor, maybe he would want to put over his regional staff in there, so we would have Secretary of State and the governor together. Just, I didn't bring it to the council only because we didn't award the contract to Berkeley and Hellman until the 22nd of December, I think.
Now, just thinking out loud, we provide that space. Will it be appointed decorations and things by us, or will they invoke into their?
They do all that.
I mean, because it's going to have to be a properly state affiliated office look.
We will provide the
space, and they'll
similar
do
to what we do for fire board and
so if they want to do
pay us
anything.
rent?
Well, we haven't discussed that, but the extension service does not pay us rent.
No.
They, by the way, will be out next month, February.
Yeah.
The fire board doesn't pay us rent, and the ambulance authority doesn't pay us rent. So it depends on whether you think it's worth
the convenience
to have the Secretary of State's office here.
Are they paying rent where they're at now?
They are.
I don't think it would be a deal breaker. I think that the convenience is going to be more for the general public than it will be for us and for them. I mean, the convenience.
It's a very
for them.
useful office, especially if you own businesses.
Yes.
If you have issues, you can go right there. They can reprint your business licenses, all that stuff right there on site.
Apparently, it's a pretty active office.
Yeah, no, I've used it several times.
Yeah.
When I get stalled out with my accountant trying to get the paperwork sent over, you go right there, they print right out.
And this council's vision has always been to make this kind of the
hub.
government complex, and I just think it would be a really good addition.
I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, I think we found during the elections the value of having that staff.
And have them right here with the
Yes.
registration.
Yeah, so we could actually lock the doors and not let them out.
Yeah.
It would be nice, and although this office is primarily designated to business licenses and things like that, but you can apply for notary seals, you can do all that locally too. So there is a direct benefit to your constituency having them here.
Yeah, I mean, this space is currently not spoken
It's
for.
not spoken for, and now's the good time to do it as we go through the design of the spaces, and it still gives us plenty of other we'll have there's other spaces to expand.
What
if we
happens
need.
to the cafeteria over there?
The cafeteria is going to stay where it's at. We hope to, as part of the design, it's going to be designed to hopefully reopen as a cafeteria.
Oh, really?
Not necessarily, someplace that's going to do burgers and fries and things like that, but maybe someone that could bring in coffee and muffins and pastries and things like that, light breakfast
fare.
and
Soups.
lunch fare. You'd be surprised the number of people that sit up there and eat lunch now.
Yeah, that's what my question was gonna be, what we're gonna do with that area.
So that's part of that will all be redesigned, but that will be kept as a small cafeteria.
Anthony and them stay where they are.
Anthony and Jeff stayed where they are. Right across from the cafeteria.
Maybe we could get a smash burger up there.
Smash burger? Well, maybe we can get a Mama Boyd's too.
Yeah.
So you need now just to let them know that
Just to
we
let them know.
would be interested in having them.
Yeah, I get back to Chuck, and I told him late last year that, until the council decided that they were going to go through with the renovations, that I couldn't give them an answer, but I will get back to them. Okay.
Okay, well, we're looking for a motion to make the space available to Secretary of State's office.
I would make that motion.
Have a motion, anybody second?
I'll second.
And have a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries.
Thank
Now,
you.
this is just
We'll
a
worry
talk
about
to
the
them
rent later,
about.
Jim Barnhart. We'll worry about the rent later.
Yeah.
We got to pay for
Yeah,
Get 'em in here
LED
first.
We got to pay for them LED lights. now.
I'll let them know. The last matter is just the housekeeping. Every year I usually come to you, and I apologize, I missed it last year. I came into you January of last year with the increase in the IRS mileage rate. And typically, as I said, I bring it in every January. I was not aware that they actually made a mid-year adjustment to the mileage reimbursement rate. Last year, the rate effective January 1st of 2022 was set at 58.5 cents. At that time, the council did increase the rate. However, mid-fiscal year, as a result of rising fuel costs, the IRS adjusted that rate once again to 62.5%, and then just recently adjusted it effective January 1st of 2023 to 65.5 cents. It used to be have more of an impact on us when our fleet was
Marginal.
Thank you. We typically would not allow our employees, unless they really had to take their own vehicles out of the county, or take a county vehicle out of the county, only because we weren't sure how safe it would be. However, over the past 5 years, we've completely upgraded our fleet. Every department now has a county car available to them, and we have 1 or 2 pool cars that's available. So it's very, very, very seldom that our employees ask for reimbursement. Who it really affects primarily is the prosecuting attorney's office. Sometimes they'll have expert witnesses come in, and they pay them mileage. So this would be the mileage rate that if any of our employees have to take their private vehicle. And Penny, I don't remember the last time we paid an employee mileage. It would be at the 65.5 cents per mile, but also, if the prosecuting attorney brought witnesses in, they would also pay the IRS business rate. And it really doesn't have an impact on your budget.
So there's no increase in the food allowance or any of that? kind of
No,
stuff?
we increased that a couple years ago. I think it's okay.
I move to increase the mileage rate to whatever it is.
65.5 cents per mile effective January 1st.
Established by the IRS.
Correct.
Okay, have a motion, have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion
Jim,
carries.
Jim, can I go back to the motion before a minute, just to ask something?
Yeah.
About the LED lighting, you did qualify for the ARPA, ARPA fund.
It does not qualify.
But when we do the when we build the new center over there, we're using revenue bonds, so it doesn't matter. But when we do the renovation of this building, they'll certainly have LED lighting put into it.
But because we're doing an overall renovation,
It'll
and
qualify.
we're improving the flow of traffic,
Okay.
and we're opening the area up so that communicable diseases are less likely to occur. It qualifies for AR.
So there won't be any additional cost then on
No,
this?
sir.
Okay.
Nope.
I just wanted to.
That's a good question, though.
Okay,
That's all I have, sir.
good. Well, a possible executive session and for either council personnel, real estate matters, acquisitions, legal matters, or economic development.
Neither your legal department or I have anything unless the council needs it for.
Yeah, the council does. I'd just like to meet with the five of us, if that's okay, in an executive session.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I move to go in executive session for personnel.
Just for the reason.
Personnel.
County council.
Personnel, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, personnel. My
Personnel.
apologies. And there will be no action taken, so I guess I can ask for public comments before then. Okay, we need a second for the executive session.
Second.
Thank you.
Have a second, Eddie. All those in favor say aye. Like sign opposed. We are in executive session.
Did you want us to step out?
Yes, please. And
You're on.
Okay. We're out of executive session, no action to be taken. Mr. Barnhart,
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I move to recess.
we are in recess. Thank you.
Thank you.